G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here and watching my content. As always, it is my pleasure and privilege to talk about the greatest game in the world, rugby. This weekend, the Rugby World Cup semi-finals is upon us. England has earned themselves the privilege to go up against the reigning, the defending, the undisputed, the irrefutable, the undeniable Rugby World Cup champions, the South African Springboks, for that opportunity to make history at the grandest stage of them all, at the Rugby World Cup Grand Final next weekend, for the chance at the ultimate glory at the Webb Ellis Cup. And yes, before we begin, the battle lines has been drawn. I warned you about this in my review on the weekend, and sure enough, I was expecting the Irish to bring up this issue, but yes, obviously it has to be the New Zealanders that brings up the point about the Rassie substitutions on the weekend, because obviously there's a high chance that South Africa will be playing the All Blacks in the grand final, and they're just slowly but surely ramping up the pressure, ramping up the discourse behind the scenes. And I just want to play a little bit of soundbite from the breakdown. That's the New Zealand rugby show that happened on the weekend, just like a couple of days ago. So yeah, just have a listen to what they're saying, and we'll have talk about it in a second. Yeah.
There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of confusion about some collisions, whether or not players needed HIAs. They're coming to the sideline, they go to the tunnel. Then, of course, 10 or 12 minutes later, they're allowed to come back on the field. Look, whether or not it was a tactical play by South Africa, whether or not it's just the way things, it could have been just the way things played out.
Yeah. Yes. I warned you. And we'll have to see what comes out of this next week. If both teams should make to the grand final, I have no doubt more of this will be talked about the Rassie substitutions. And yes, so we're not here to talk about that today. Oh, before we begin, just to let you know that this little page here, you can download that in the description below. And I've made a downfall video about the Wallabies, so go have a look at that on my channel. Feel free to go have a look at that. I'll put it in the description as well. But yeah, just a little, because I have to talk. Normally YouTube don't recommend this video, so you wanna, I want, if you wanna have a look at it. You won't, they generally don't recommend this sort of videos to viewers for obvious reasons. But anyway, so yeah, just a bit of a some thoughts about overall how this game is gonna turn out. I do think that on paper the Springboks should win this game, but I think that the England is definitely not to be underestimated. The first game English played against Argentina was an absolute clinical masterclass, and that performance was worthy of winning a World Cup. I'm not gonna lie, that performance from George Ford, the way he was so easily able to kick over a 50-meter drop goal, and the way that the team handled themselves to manage the territory, to get the George Ford in those territory to kick those drop goals, was absolutely sublime. The way England executed that was, if England was to play that game, South Africa will have to be very, very clinical this weekend to get themselves a win. If the game is close, the kicking, especially box kicking in like with 60 seconds left on the clock, something that Faf did, have to be very, very careful and needs to be deeper. And I do think that the England wanted to bring this game into like a grinding halt, and try to just utilize 3 points to win the game. Whereas I think the Springboks has a much better opportunity at scoring points by isolating players like they did against the French with high balls, and use their much faster wingers that is at the disposal to try to score tries with loose style kind of rugby, loose open style rugby that was on display against the French. I do think that the Springboks has an advantage in the set piece as well. England has made some changes to manage the Springboks sort of bomb squad forward, front rowers coming off the bench. But I think if England is able to keep this game to a grinding halt and very close, when George Ford comes on the bench, it's going to be very, very dangerous. So I really hope that the Springboks prepare for the drop goals. I really hope that Rassie I'm sure he would have seen the drop goals from George Ford. And yeah, it's definitely not going to be a gimme this weekend. And yeah, everybody keep your fingers crossed. And with a game of such monumental occasion, it will be Ben O'Keefe once again looking out for this match, the #1 referee from New Zealand. He has been a lot of criticism levied against him from Anton Dupont after the game, who was not happy about the some of the calls, decisions were made. Nigel Owens has made a video about referee watch, and he basically said that a lot of the decisions Ben O'Keefe made were correct, the key ones anyway. But yeah, it is what it is. The World Rugby is allowing a more free-flowing rugby style in the Rugby World Cup, especially in the quarterfinals, and looking like they want to do that again in the semi-finals just to keep the game flowing, which I do agree. I do think that, this is the biggest game. You got to have to kind of unleash the play a little bit, let them loose a little bit, and not just start issuing out yellow cards left and right. So yeah, Ben O'Keefe has earned himself another chance alongside Brandon Pickerel, this the TMO, who also TMO'd the match in the French game. So both the key referees got the nod to go ahead in the semi-finals for this weekend. So yeah, so Springboks will be used to have a little bit of advantage here because it will be used to having Ben O'Keefe literally the week before. So England will have a little bit of a tough time adapting to his style from the get-go. So the history between the two sides, the most recently back and forth between England and South Africa, the style that the two teams play are very similar. In recent outings are pretty similar. The big one is the one that South Africa beating England, where apparently the English team got booed afterwards, and resulting in Eddie Jones getting sacked. That's the most recent one, 13 points to 27. But yeah, outside of that, it's been back and forth between two sides, and it is gonna be, yeah, England did lose the grand final in 2019. One of the biggest talking point in 2019 was that, did England play their best game the week before against the All Blacks? And the similar question could be asked, did the Springboks play their best game the week before against the French? Yeah, so that is something also to consider as well going to this match. So it's definitely not gonna be a gimme. And England has been really just trickling along a little bit, not really. So there's still potentially a peak coming out for the England team. There hasn't really, outside of the first game against Argentina, where they really peaked. Bothwick is kind of just taking the team along and not really pushing the team to that next level yet. And this weekend will be the time to do so. And yeah, we'll have to see how that's gonna turn out for the English team. So in recent performances, let's have a look at the matches for England. So England obviously had a pretty poor year the year before in 2021, where Eddie Jones got sacked. But this year, when Bothwick took over, England was also struggled a lot. Coming into this Rugby World Cup, they were thoroughly defeated by Scotland at home, a game that they really felt like they were gonna win, and then went on to only beating Wales. Basically, that was also a team that sacked their head coach, and then losing to France to the biggest, not that big of a margin, not that big a gap, according to Sir Woodward, even though it was literally the biggest gap in the history of England rugby at home. But apparently, according to Woodward, not that big a gap, 51 points to 10, and then had a pretty poor outing in the warm-up where Bothwick insisted that he's prepping the team to peak against Argentina. And wow, to everybody's surprise, he did actually deliver on his promise, and he peaked against Argentina, 27 points to 10. That was a completely one-sided affair for England, even though England had a red card. Yeah, Tom Curry had a red card for majority of the match. They were firmly in control the whole game. George Ford just kicked three drop goals. He was looking like he was never going to miss any of those kicks. And it was just way too easy. England walked away with that crucial win. And then after that, England kind of calmed down a lot. I saw, especially after Japan game, Owen Farrell returned from his suspension. England just been looking pretty ordinary. And the fact that Farrell is going to be on the start will be very interesting to see when is George Ford going to come onto the field? He didn't play at all, George Ford didn't play at all. But then again, Bothwick could just be hiding George Ford to keep everyone's expectations of him coming on low, so that when he does come on, that impact drop goals will just hopefully, I think that's probably the strategy from England, to catch teams off guard and then try to sneak out a win that way. And I have no doubt, absolutely no doubt, that's going to be the plan. If from Steve Borthwick, he's absolutely not he absolutely has something up the sleeves for everybody to behold this weekend with George Ford. The South Africans, on the other hand, has some. Let's just get this up. Has been building pretty strongly into the Rugby World Cup. They were looking again back and forward, trying a lot of different combinations. Having Desmond Willemse last year at number 10, Tandre Pollard being injured, Man in the Box missing goal kicks. Been on and off a little bit for the Springboks, but they surely have really found their strides into the Rugby World Cup now. Even though the game that they lost to Ireland, I felt that if the goal kicking had been a little bit better, if the execution was a little bit more polished, they could have won that. To be honest, they had opportunities to definitely overtake Ireland on the scoreboard, but they failed to do so. And obviously the weekend game against France was, hopefully that's not the best game that they're going to be playing this tournament, because they still got potentially another game coming up next week as well if they shoot past England this weekend. And it's gonna be brutal this weekend, and I really don't want to sleep. Please do not sleep on England. Rassi, please make sure that you cross all the doors, dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and make sure that the George Ford issue is having had a look at. The weather on the weekend is going to be 13 degrees. It's going to be raining on Saturday, and it's going to be following a few days of rest. It's definitely going to be wet conditions. So this may or may not play into the advantage of the open style game that was, that found a lot of success last week. But then again, the high ball, the pressure from the kicking game will also be difficult for the defending team to handle. So we'll have to see how that's going to go. And the last thing I think England, the last thing the Springboks wants is being, being just a couple drop goals away, going into the last 10 minutes or so, because that's going to get really tight, especially when George Ford comes on. The weather is going to be a major factor in this game as well. So let's have a look at the lineup. Let's see who's in, who's out, who's earned themselves the privilege to represent their nations in this monumental occasion this weekend. First up, interesting selection for England. Joe Marler and Dan Cole has been earned the start for England. Dan Cole did start last week against Fiji, so I'm not surprised about Dan Cole starting. I am surprised Joe Marler starting, because he wasn't that impressive last week coming off the bench, looking like he was just out there having a bit too much fun, and I was really surprised, to be honest, to not see Ellis Genge at a starting position. England obviously having a bit more focus on combating the Springboks team coming off the bench, but in my opinion, the Springboks starting props are the more dangerous props on the field. So England has made the decision. They're gonna have to slip in that, but I think this is a wrong decision by England to put on essentially the second best, front rowers on to try to save themselves for the so-called bomb squad in the second half. So Joe Marler comes in number 1. Jamie George stays at number 2 position with his impeccable line-out line-outs and his overall carry game that he brings for England as well. He's been exceptionally dangerous for the English team. Dan Cole, like I mentioned, has been performing better than Sinclair, to be fair. Really earned himself that number 3 jersey once again. For the South Africans, Stephen Kitsoff last week under tremendous pressure against Uni Antonio. And this week, I think it's going to be a little bit easier. And just that experience, that pressure, really showed how good of a actual scrummager Stephen Kitsoff actually is. He was under so much pressure, and he did what needed to be done to keep the scrum steady, not giving away penalties, not collapsing the scrum, and kept the game ticking along. But inspired it, bought time and opportunity for, Ox Incher to come off the bench and made a difference against the reserve props. So Stephen Kissop definitely did his job, and a big thumbs up for his performance last week. Bongin Bunabi gets a hooker position once again. The best hooker right now since Michael Marks has been injured. Bongin Bunabi has been showing a lot of good leadership skill as well, as he is the vice captain when Sia Khaleesi goes off. And I think that the way Bunga Bunabi managed the game and the way he manages referee, he has been doing a really, really good job as that role as a captaincy. Faustman Herbe comes in at number 3, tight head proposition. He should be having a ascendancy against Joe Mala unless England has figured something out in training, but I don't see Joe Mala to be an issue against Malherbe. Coming in the locking position now, Mario Itoje, and another interesting change for the England side, George Martin gets caught up. They have saved, what's his name? Ollie Chesham onto the bench. So yeah, interesting to have someone quite young up against literally the best locks in the world. England has, again, maybe a little bit overemphasizing on the strength of the Springboks bench. I do think that it is not necessary to. I think the Springboks, the Springboks starting team is actually stronger than the bench. The bench is designed to be impactful, but the bench is definitely not better than the Springboks starting team. In the short bursts, the bench is designed to do a lot of damage in a short period, but the starting team is there to deal most of the wear and tear, to pave the way for the reserves. So I think that I think that Borthwick may have made a wrong decision here. The game could be out of hand, could completely be completely dominated in key areas in the first half. Ibn Nesbeth, best lock in the world right now, just shows that experience. He does not play for the Wallabies. He knows how deliberate knock-on works and knows to knock the ball backwards. Unlike, the Wallabies, seems to have no clue how that works and tries to justify stupidity. But yeah, Ibn Nesbeth, knockback, made a huge difference in that game. Even with a yellow card, he still came on and scored a winning try and just showed the caliber. Like, he is absolutely the cream of the crop of the Springboks history. Probably the best lock in history. He's unbelievable. Franco Moster, even though as a utility, has really shown that his bread and butter is at the lock position, and he's been so tremendously good when it comes to set piece as well for the Springboks. Loose forwards now, we've got Colin Laws in the blindside flanker position, Sia Khaleesi in the open side flanker for the Springboks. Both men are incredibly good at the breakdown and just high work rate all around the park. Tom Curry comes to number 7 in the open side, and Peter Sef Dutoy will be at the blind side for the Springboks at number 7 jersey. And Peter Sef Dutoy, again, just huge work rate around the field. The way he chases just hunts down in the rush defense, it's absolutely incredible at what the amount of work that he does in the tight areas around the ruck when it comes to the defense. And finally, number 8 jersey, Ben Earl is probably the best forward at the moment for England, both defensively and offensively. The damage he did against Fiji and the damage he did against Argentina in those turnovers is absolutely brutal. So he is the most dangerous forward for the English pack. Number 8 jersey for the Springboks is the veteran Dwayne the Rock Vermeulen comes in. He is just, the experience last week really showed why he was selected at number 8 jersey ahead of Jasper Wiese, and just having that presence, knowing, bringing that calm in that dying stages of the game. And in the clutch, we saw France fall apart a little bit, kicking the ball out on the full from a 22 dropout and then kicking the ball backwards in a penalty. I haven't seen that for a very long time in an international test match. And it really showed that the nerves, the lack of experience, the youth is starting to get to the player's head. And having players like Dwayne Vermeulen is a really, really good, really, really good for a lot of the younger players to look up to. And now we go to the back line. Alex Mitchell comes in number 9. Kobus Reinach once again earned himself the jersey at number 9. I really think that Reinach is the absolute tip-top form right now. He has never, I don't think I remember playing rugby this good in the past. The versatility that he brings with the speed and also the way he managed the game last week against the French was almost flawless. The kicking game, everything he brought to the table was great. Alex Mitchell, the youngster, brings a lot of speed for England as well, and the accuracy and polish needs to be good this weekend to match with the Springboks. Owen Farrell gets the number 10 jersey once again because George Ford having the best fly half performance in the last 20 years. Literally the last time someone performed this good for England was Johnny Wilkinson. He gets the George Ford gets the bench every week to keep it warm for Owen Farrell, and it is what it is really an injustice to what it is really an injustice to England, to George Ford, to all the hard work he's been putting in, to the outstanding performances he's putting in. But then again, it could be a strategy. You could just be Borthwick wanting to hide George Ford and having him coming off the bench in the last 10 minutes or so and putting a few drop goals to put the game out of reach by surprise, right? It is just one of those things. You never know. I really don't think Borthwick is that stupid to think that, to not think that George Ford is a better fly half than Owen Farrell. I think there's something that he's hiding behind the scenes for this, to setting George Ford up for something this weekend. I'm almost expecting it. Number 10, man in the block, again showing a lot of the versatility, bringing lighting the Springboks attack on fire. And last week he showed that accuracy in the kicking game, being able to identify the forwards out wide and putting out a high ball crossfield for his teammates to challenge those loose balls has yielded a try for Curdy Alinsa, and it was very well executed by man in the block there. And the placement of the ball, the hang time is just perfect for his team to set up for the loose bounce. And again, this weekend will be a massive key to Springboks getting over the line. It's that kicking game. In the back line now, Elliot Daly up against Cheslin Kobe. This probably is the biggest speed mismatch in the tournament. I mean, Elliot Daly is really not that fast. I still don't know why he's at number 11 jersey. And Cheslin Kobe is the fastest winger seemingly in the world right now. This is gonna be. Actually, sorry, my bad again. Elliot Daly is actually matched up against Curly Alinsa, which is not much better either. Elliot Daly 11. He does have a little, obviously, size advantage over both the wingers, but I think speed and agility will be the big difference that is needed here in this matchup. In the center position, again, this will be a massive shift for both teams. Manu Tuilangi is an absolute brutalizing ball carrier. Damien Delenda will once again have to put in a lot of defensive effort this weekend. And Damien Delenda has been very good in carrying game as well. So this will be just absolutely huge collision center field. Whereas in the number 13 jersey, Jesse Krill put on a superhuman performance last week. And I can't wait to see him play again. He was the amount of tackles, the amount of rush defense. He was unbelievable last weekend. It was the best performance in his career. So this week, we'll have to see if he can back that up. His opposition is a little bit more agile. Joey Merchant, I think Joey Merchant probably should probably be a winger over, and Ellie Dahlia should be here. But hey, it is what it is. The speed from Joey Merchant is quite dangerous, and Jesse Krill again have a massive week of defensive effort ahead of him to try to pull out this weekend. Number 14 jersey is Johnny May and Curdy Alinsa. We already talked about Curdy Alinsa, one of the most elusive players on the planet. When the ball bounces on the ground in those loose ball situations, Curdy Alinsa is absolutely one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. We already saw Curdy Alinsa destroy Marcus Smith last year. So Marcus Smith has been spared the embarrassment to play in Springboks again. Marcus Smith is not selected at all this week. I don't think he's selected. Is he a fullback? No, he's not selected at all this game. So yeah, Curdy Alinsa, once again, we'll have a massive game. Johnny May has returned to the fold. And again, I think Johnny May he's looking much better after returning. Initially, Anthony Watson was in the team and Johnny May wasn't selected. And he's been definitely building and getting more and more dangerous for the English side. And finally, Freddie Stewart returns number 15 jersey. Borthwick has pretty shown his hands last week with Marcus Smith as a second playmaker. This week, he's back to the traditional setup, Freddie Stewart, knowing that the Springboks kicking game is going to bring, knowing that potentially the weather is going to be an issue. So having Freddie Stewart under the high ball in the wet conditions will be a much safer hand. Damien Willems, the best fullback in the world right now, and he is just so good. The way he managed the game, so calm. There were so many points last week under the French high ball, putting under pressure on the kicking game, and I was just like, oh my god, what is it gonna do? It's gonna screw something up, and he just handled it perfectly every time. Even calling for the scrum after calling a mark. Almost gave me a heart attack, but turned out that was part of the strategy from the Springboks. But yeah, Damien Willems, the greatest Springbok in history of the Springboks, once again, will be key to the Springboks' victory this weekend. And finally, let's go to the bench now. Theo Dan gets the number 16 jersey for England. Dion Ferry will become on the bench, potentially once again as a loose forward first, and then moving to number 2 jersey. Ellis Genji comes in at number 17, and Kyle Sinclair. Like I said, they have put the maybe the starting team on the bench to match up against Ox Uncha, the best loose air prop in the world in terms of scrummaging. Maybe not carry game, but the scrummaging, definitely the best in the world. Every time he comes on the field, he will squeeze out a penalty. And once again, Sinclair will have to be watching out for that. And Sinclair's performance against Fiji wasn't that great last week. Very shaky scrum, and Uncha will be really put on a lot of hurt on Sinclair this weekend. That's looking it's going to be the case. Vincent Koch comes in number 18. Mr. Incredible. And then Ollie Chesham comes in number 19. Again, like I said, England has been prepping for the bench impact. Achi Snyman for the Springboks, number 19 jersey. Really good coming off the bench. Always just physical. And I love watching this guy play. He just looks happy. He looks like he's having a good time on the field. No matter how tough it is. And that's what you want to see. People enjoying themselves on the field playing rugby. And then number 20, Billy Vunipola, the big finisher. Eddie Jones is, one of the favorite players of Eddie Jones will be coming off to match up the speed of Wildkard Smith. Once again, just a 7. Like, it's so smart the way that Rasmus has selected a 7 specialist to come off the bench to just finish the game for the last 20, 25 minutes or so, to just immediately make that impact off the bench. It is unbelievable how good this guy actually is. And it is good because he's been primed to maximize his impact, because he's only trained to play 25, 30 minutes. And then on top of that, his teammates has worn everybody down to set up everything for him. So yeah, it's really, really smart the way that England operates with Wildkard Smith, one of the very, very dangerous weapons coming off the bench. Danny Keir will get the number 21 jersey for England. Faf de Klerk, please rethink about the box kick and how deep you want to kick it, because George Ford will kick a 50-meter drop goal if the box kick is too shallow. And Faf de Klerk will become the bench. But to be fair, Faf de Klerk, he is very, very good player. I give him a lot of shit sometimes, but I think he's very, very good. The effort, the passion that this guy brings is just unbelievable. Every game he gives 110%. I can't fault him for that. And we like to poke fun of him with his box kicks, but he's very, very good. And he outside of the last box kick, I didn't mention all the good box kicking he did earlier in the game. When he was on the field, there was one he did almost 50-meter box kick from deep inside of zone 22, all the way into the French, almost into the French 22. It was unbelievable. Hit that, all the good stuff we tend to ignore and we pick on the backside. But I think Faf de Klerk, he definitely deserves more credit than just all the negativity that I give him sometimes. And then number 22, George Ford. Like I said, I think England's going to hide him. Definitely hiding him to come on the field to try to put a couple drop goals in the last 15 minutes or so to try to sneak a win. And Henry Pollard is the other weapon for the Springboks. Not sure if he's been practicing drop goal or not. They had Cheslin Kobe do a sneaky drop goal from the back of the rock, from the back of a maul, which missed. Something that Johnny Wilkinson did, some very similar, out of the back of a rock in 2003. I think it was in the quarterfinal, maybe, or semi-final. Johnny Wilkinson did that. So it's something that they put out of the bags from the England camp from a long time ago. I'm not sure if you're going to see that again, but Henry Pollard, hopefully he's been practicing some drop goals. But his goal kicking last week proven to be the difference of winning the game over France. So exactly what the Springboks was looking for, and Henry Pollard is delivering. And finally, Ollie Lawrence, the additional centre for England, the power, the strength will be coming off the bench, and then Willie LaRue will be that additional playmaker from the fullback position, replacing Damien Valenza potentially, and then just to manage the game with the kicking. And Willie LaRue has been good in recent times, and sometimes just drop the ball a little bit, gets everybody a little bit frustrated, but overall, Willie LaRue has been very, very good for the Springboks. So yeah, my prediction this game, I think this could be a much tighter than everybody thinks. And I think that, I think the Springboks will pull out a 3-point win, 3-point advantage. I think that's the comfort zone, but I think it might be closer than that. Yeah, it might even be extra time. This game might actually go into extra time. And I don't know, but it's going to be, I think Bothwick has something hidden up his sleeve with George Ford. The way that he's just been keeping him off the field, trying to hide him. Really bizarre decision making, and I think that Bothwick is definitely not stupid, and I think he's definitely got something up in his sleeves, got a trick up in his sleeves this weekend. So please be prepared. Rassi Rasmus, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate you watching these videos. And special thanks to all the guys who donate money or support me financially with Patreon and YouTube membership. You are the best. You literally help me stay up all night with coffees, and I do appreciate that. And thanks very much, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the reviews, and have a good day.